Welcome to LIVEDAF, your online Daf Yomi Shiur.
Shalom Aleichem, welcome back to today's Daf Yomi, which is Shabbos Daf Kuf Nun Aleph. We are on Daf Kuf Nun Amud Beis, 2 lines from the bottom. It says the Gemara, Klal Omar Abashol Kol Sha'ani V'chulu. In our Mishnah we learned, not only does one refrain from doing malach on Shabbos, but likewise from business activities, from weekday sorts of activities, and we don't discuss those things, nor do we prepare for them on Shabbos. For instance, going out to the edge of the tchum, the edge of the boundary, 2,000 amas of the city, and camping out there in anticipation of Motzei Shabbos' arrival, when we will be able to proceed to do our malacha. We can't do that. We can't prepare for malacha on Shabbos. So both things go together and are related. A malacha cannot be discussed and spoken about on Shabbos, nor can one prepare for that malacha on Shabbos by camping out, by being machshich at the edge of the tchum. So the Mishnah told us in the Reisha, for instance, hiring workers, that's not a Shabbos activity. That can't be discussed, nor executed on Shabbos. Nor can one prepare for that on Shabbos. You can't camp out at the edge of the tchum to go find workers, Mitzvah Shabbos. So you can't speak about it and can't prepare for it. The Mishnah proceeded with an example of something which can be prepared for on Shabbos. A person can be machshich ala tchum, go camp out at the tchum too, simply go safeguard, go watch his fruit, which is not a problematic activity on Shabbos, so he can prepare for that on Shabbos, in anticipation of Motzei Shabbos, when he'll go and find his fruit and watch over them. So that's an example of something which can be prepared for on Shabbos. So we have a Reisha which tells us things that we cannot discuss or prepare for on Shabbos. And then we have a Seifa, the next clause of the Mishnah, which gives us an example of something which one can go ahead and prepare for that on Shabbos. Now, Bashol concludes the Mishnah by offering a formula. Something which I can discuss, I'm allowed to speak about on Shabbos, which is essentially a non-malacha or a non-business matter. Since I'm allowed to speak about it, I can go ahead and be machshich for it. I can go camp out at the edge of the tchum in anticipation of that activity. Says the Gemara, Iboilus, they asked, Abashol Ahai. What is Abashol referencing to? What's his point of reference? Abashol concludes the Mishnah by offering this formula. If I can speak, I can go prepare. Evidently, he's referring back to something that Tanakama said. Which one? Which phrase? Is it the opening phrase of the Mishnah, the Reisha, or is it the Sefer? Is he referring to the Reisha, which says, one may not camp out at the edge of the tchum, to be available on Motzei Shabbos to hire workers, lavi peres, to go pick some fruit, to bring back some fruit, which is a malacha, picking the fruit off the tree. So he can't do that on Shabbos. Now, Bashol responds by saying, well, anything that I can speak about, I can go ahead and camp out in preparation for. Says the Gemara, it seems to be mismatched with the Tanakama's halacha. Tanakama is speaking about something you cannot do. It's in a negative context. And Abashol is responding with a positive formula. Something which I can speak, I can go prepare for. Says the Gemara inside, on the top of Kuf Nun Aleph Amud Aleph, Hi, Kol Sha'ani Zakai B'mirasai. Something which I have the privilege, the ability to discuss. Rashai Ani B'chashichasai. I'm allowed to go ahead and camp out in preparation for that activity, because it's a non-problematic activity, it's not malacha, it's not business. That is the formula of Abishol. Why did he say it in this way? If he's referencing to the Tanakama, the Reisha, which tells us that hiring workers, picking fruit off a tree, is not something you can prepare for on Shabbos, Tanakama is stating it in a negative context, an Isser. So why does Abishol respond by saying, Kol Shani Zakam Rasi, Rashani B'chashichasai, which seems to be placing things in a positive context? He should have done it in the reverse. In order to capsulize, formulate the halacha of Tanakama, he should have said, Kol She'eni Zakam Rasi, something which is a business activity or a malach activity, which I do not have the ability to discuss. Eini Rasha B'chashichasai mi boile. That's what he should have said. He should have referred back to the Tanakama in this manner. You know what? Let me formulate it. Something which you can't discuss, I cannot prepare for. So the current version of Abishol seems to indicate that he's not referencing to the Reisha of Tanakama. Ella Seifa. Apparently he's working on the Seifa. The Seifa said, Aval machshachol lishmor, maybe peres biyadai. that the Tanakama says one can be machshich, can go camp out at the end of the tchum, lishmar, to simply be prepared on Matzah Shabbos to go watch his fruit, which is not a malach activity, or maybe pears biyadai, and while he's at it, he can go get some fruit and bring him back with him. So Tanakama gives us a heter. It's on a positive note. Since it's not a malacha, he's allowed to prepare for it. Now Bishal is referring to that, and he's giving us a formula. He's saying, well, something which I can't discuss, I can prepare for. 1 second. Again, it seems to be mismatched. Sure, certainly, they're both speaking about in a positive context, but the order of Abishal seems to be reversed. If he's referencing Tanakama, who's discussing machshich, preparing by waiting out at the end of the tchum, then Abishal should have responded in kind. Hi, kol shani zaka b'chashichosai, something which I'm entitled to go be machshich for. Rasha ani b'mirosai miboyeli. Abishal should have reversed his formula. If he's referencing that Tanakama, who gives us an allowance for camping out, then Abishal should have responded by saying, look, this is the bottom line. Something which you can camp out for, that's what you just spoke about. Something which is not a malacha and you're allowed to prepare for, you should know. That's related to discussion. If you can camp out for it, you can discuss it. Rather, Abishal begins by saying, you should know, something which can be discussed, can be prepared for. Whoever mentioned discussions? So the order seems to be reversed. Says the Gemara, so we have difficulty either way. If it's referring to the Reisha, where the Tanakama gave us an Isser, regarding something which is a non-Shabbos activity, you cannot discuss, you cannot camp out for. Abishal seems to be totally out of line with that because he's speaking about heter. Tanakama is speaking about Isser. If he's referring to the Seifa, where the Tanakama gave us a heter, discussed the ability to be machshich, to camp out for a non-malach activity, then Abishal should have responded in kind. Should have said, look, just like you can camp out, you can discuss. Instead, Abishal chose to say it in the reverse order. Abishal says something which I can discuss, I can prepare for. Seems to be out of line. Says in truthfully, Abishal is referencing the Seifa where the Tanakama says that if it's a non-malacha endeavor, you can be machsheh for it. Why does Abishal begin by mentioning the discussion portion that you can discuss? Abishal ahokai. He's referring to this halacha. The Amar Vidam Shmuel. Mutu Adam lem lechaver. One may tell his friend, Shmoirli perisha b'tchumcha. Let's make a deal. You watch on my behalf my fruit, my produce that's sitting in your tchum, in your domain, in your area. Vani eshmalacha, and I will guard for you on your behalf perisha b'tchumi, your fruit which is sitting in my tchum, in my boundary. So this is a clear-cut halacha agreed upon by all because watching fruit is not a malacha. So we may discuss it on Shabbos. Now, Abishal turns to the Tanakama and he says, Miloi moidis. Do you not agree with me? Demuter adam loimel chaver. A person certainly can go and tell his friend on Shabbos, Shmoirli perisha b'tchumcha. Watch on my behalf the pears that are sitting in your tchum. In exchange, I will do likewise. Vani esh malacha perisha b'tchumi. I will watch on your behalf your produce sitting in my tchum. That's okay because it doesn't involve malacha. So you agree with that. There's no machlokes because it's a non-malach activity, it's not business, you're allowed to discuss it. So if you agree to that point, that something which is not a malach activity, not a business activity, can be discussed. So Abishal has a question for the Tanakama. Why do you simply say, well, regarding watching fruit, you can go be a machshich, you can go camp out at the end of the tchum, and proceed to watch after Shabbos. Why don't you state that halacha in a more broad and general term, which will teach us more halachas? Ve'ema, why don't we say as follows? Kol shani zaka b'merosei, anything which is a non-problematic activity on which a person may have a discussion about on Shabbos, rashaya nilachshich alav. Likewise, I can go ahead and camp out in preparation of that activity. So Abishal is turning to Tanakama, he's saying, look, I know you simply mentioned the ability to be machshich, but you should have stated it more broadly and given the following formula. Something which is a non-malach, a non-business activity can be discussed and likewise can be prepared for on Shabbos. And this way we're going to learn more halachas. We can apply it broadly and derive more from that formula. What is he coming to include? Lasuye mai, What's the point here? What's Abba Shaul's point? What more will we learn by stating it in this manner? La'asui ha'tanur rabbanan, to include the item mentioned in the following brayso, ein machshich al tchum lavi behema. One cannot be machshich by the tchum to be available once Shabbos to bring his behema. But if the behema was standing outside the tchum and he has the ability to retrieve it by simply calling it, he can do that. He can call out to the ba'a and have her come. Although a behema, a Jewish animal, is not meant to do malach on Shabbos, we learned this earlier that regarding tchumen, there's no concern. That's not considered to be work, labor. That's not really malacha. And even a Jewish-owned animal can do that on Shabbos. So you can call it and have it come back from outside the tchum into the tchum. Continues the brayso. Klal Omar Abba Shaul. Abba Shaul set down a general rule. Kol shani zaka b'mirasai. Any topic in which I have the ability to speak about, to discuss on Shabbos, Rashoya ani lachshich olav, I have the ability to go ahead and be machshich, camp out on at the end of the tchum in anticipation of doing that activity. What is he coming to include? One can be machshich in order to pursue the efforts to provide for the kala mace and for the needs of the mace. For instance, to bring for him the coffin, the tachrichim, the shrouds, and they can tell this messenger on Shabbos, go to this and this place. If you won't find this place, so giving him instructions. After Shabbos, go to this place. If you don't find it there, go bring it from the other place. Well, if you can't buy it with 100, then buy more expensive for 200. So giving him instructions on Shabbos, even though it involves purchasing, etc., that's okay because it's a mitzvah. We learned yesterday that Cheftzei Shamayim, heavenly spiritual matters, can be discussed on Shabbos despite the fact that they entail malacha. Rabbi Yosef Yehuda Aimer, provided it doesn't mention the amount, the price, that is something which you shouldn't discuss on Shabbos regardless. So the point of the Gemara here is that Abba Shaul is coming to include something in addition to what we have in our Mishnah. He's coming to say, well, even something which entails malacha, but if it's spiritual matters, if it's chefzei shamayim, if it's endeavoring for the chas and kala, for the mace, then that's something which can even be discussed on Shabbos, despite the fact that it entails malacha. And that was the point of Abba Shaul. Add something. Set down a formula. Anything which can be discussed can be machshech alav. You can prepare for it on Shabbos as well. He's coming to include the iskei kala, the iskei meis, despite the fact that they involve malacha. Just as you can discuss them, you can actually prepare for them on Shabbos as well. Continues the Mishnah, and Rashi points out indeed that this coming Mishnah reflects Abba Shaul's opinion. Machshichin al tchum, one can be machshich at the end of the tchum lafakech al iskei kala, to anticipate his efforts for the kala, to bring stuff for the kala, to provide the needs of the mace. So despite the fact that these things cannot be done on Shabbos, you can't go transport these things from afar, but since they involve mitzvah, one may be machshech al tchum, he can wait out at the edge of the boundary there, so that Motzei Shabbos will be free and available to go procure these items which are for a mitzvah purpose. Continues the Mishnah. Nachu shehevi chalilin b'Shabbos. What if a Gentile delivered chalilin, these flutes which they would use for the mourning, for the funeral? So he brought it on Shabbos, and Rashi points out b'shvil Yisrael. So he brought it for the sake of a Yisrael. Lo yisped ben Yisrael. The Yisrael cannot eulogize with them. Rashi says lo olam, forever. It's a knas, a penalty, since it's obvious that the guy brought it for him. So keep away, don't get involved, don't have any benefit from the malacha which was done on Shabbos for the sake of the Yisrael. Elaim kain bo mimakam karev, unless they arrive from a close area. We know they came from within the tchum, in which case there's no major benefit being derived from its being transported on Shabbos. There was no transgression of the tchum iser. It wasn't taken from chutz l'tchum. Therefore, there's no concern here, and the Yisrael may use it. Let's say they made for him an arain, a coffin, they dug a caver. Rashi points out they did it for a guy or for commercial purposes, they didn't have the Yisrael in mind, then there's no problem. Be covered by Yisrael, then they could be covered Yisrael in this kaver. Then be Shva Yisrael, but if it was done for the sake of Yisrael, lo covered by Elamis, then it cannot be used permanently. So the Mishnah began that if the Nachri brought those Chalilin, you can't use them if you know that they were brought for the Yisrael, unless they came in Makom Karev from within the Tchum, and since it wasn't brought from outside the Tchum, then it's not really considered that the Yisrael was nana from a Malacha, and he can use it. Now, interesting that Tosfos points out. So let's say they came from within the Tchum, but they were transported through Shisarab, which in itself is a Malacha. So Tosfos says it's not really considered a significant benefit. The fact that the guy transported through the street from close proximity is not really considered a true benefit for the Yisrael, and therefore there's no Isser, there's no Knas in that regard. It's only if we brought it from far away, from a Chutz L'Tchum, then we really feel that benefit, the Hana is visible and tangible, and therefore we don't allow him to use it on account of the Malacha that was performed for him. So the Mishnah says you can't use it unless it came in Makom Karev. Says the Gemara, "My Makom Karev." What is the exact definition of Makom Karev? It came from a close place. Rava Amar Makom Karev. Mamish. It means mamish literally. You need to know with certainty that this flute was brought from within the Tchum. Rashi says you saw it in the home of the guy. You know that's where it originated from. It didn't come from outside the Tchum. There needs to be a vada yediyah, a certain knowledge regarding the fact that it came from a closed place. Ushmuel Amar Chashinan Shema Chutz L'Chay Belanu. Shmuel holds it is enough that we are merely choishish. We can merely presume. We could say, listen, maybe it came from right outside the Chayim or outside the walls of the city, in which case it was within the Tchum, within the boundaries. We don't need to suspect that it was transported from far away. So according to Rav, it's asr unless you verify that it was Mimakim Karev. Whereas according to Shmuel, the working presumption here is that it's mutter, unless we know otherwise. Says the Gemara, Deika Masnisin Kavasei de Shmuel. The wording of our Mishnah seems to imply, like Shmuel's Shita, that even a suffix would be mutter. Diktani. Asalei oren v'chavale kever. If he made for him a oren, dog a kever, you cover by Yisrael. The Yisrael can be buried in the oren in this kever. Alma misfeka shari. Apparently, even when there's a suffix, it's allowed. We don't know for certain that he did it for a guy, perhaps. He had the Yisrael in mind. We're not sure. Nevertheless, it's mutter, because an uncertainty is grounds for heter. Hachanami here as well, when it comes to the Chalilin, which were transported, which we are uncertain as to the origin of their of these Chalilin. Here as well, Hachanami misfeka shari, it would be mutter misafik. Continues the Gemara, V'tanik Kavasei de Rav, and actually there's a Girsa, Hagoyis Hagra, which says Kavasei de Shmuel, and Rashi also seems to be working with this Girsa. So let's just read it the way they say it. V'tanik Kavasei de Shmuel, we have another Raya from a Brisa to concur with Shmuel that when we have a suffix of what the Goy's intention was, we say it's mutter. What does the Brisa say? Ir sheYisrael v'Nachrim Daramba. If we have a city in which there are Yisrael and Nachrim residing in it, v'Hoisaba Merchatz, and there was this bathhouse, HaMerchatz is b'Shabbos, which was functioning, which was heated up on Shabbos. So the halacha is as follows: Im roiv Nachrim, if most of the customers of this bathhouse were Gentiles, le'erev, so on Matzah Shabbos, roichetz b'miyad. The Yisrael can go and derive hana from the hot water immediately after Shabbos, because since most of the people there are goyim, then we consider the heating of the merchatz as though it has been done for the goyim, because they're the majority. So they set the tone here. And there's no need to delay, to wait. He can use the merchatz immediately after Shabbos. Imrav Yisrael, however, if most of the customers were Yisrael, in which case we consider the heating of the merchatz as though it has been done for the Yisrael's sake, Yamtin ad kadei sheyechem uchamin. Then he can't use it immediately after Shabbos. He can't derive hana from the malacha that the guy did for Yisrael. He has to wait ad kadei sheyechem uchamin until there's enough time for them to heat up the water. So you need to wait for that time to elapse to theoretically allow for recooking this water. This way, the Yisrael is not really having any benefit from the Shabbos Malacha. What if it's half and half? Mechza, half Jewish customers, half non-Jewish? Then he needs to wait. He needs to wait. As Rashi says, since it's half and half, we can't say it's been done for the Goyim. It's been done for the Yidden also, so it's half and half, and that's basically equalizes the equation, and it is as though it was done for the Yisrael as well, and they cannot use it until they wait the prescribed time, Matzah Shabbos. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Babatik Tana, if it's a small sized tub, then we have a special allowance. Im yesh bo reshus, if there is a person there in the city who has a person of authority, a distinguished person, roichetz b'mayad, then the Yisrael can use this small bathtub immediately after Shabbos. Why? Says the Gemara, why? My reshus, what type of reshus? What are we speaking about? This authority. So the Gemara describes it as follows: Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Amar Rabbi Yitzchak, Brei Rabbi Yehuda, Im yesh b'adam chashav. If there's this prominent person, this ruler, sheyesh la'asar avodim, who owns these 10 slaves, shemachamim loy yud kumkumin bas achas, who have the ability to heat up for him 10 of these kettles simultaneously, in which case we can make perhaps a presumption that the reason why the small bathtub is heated up is because he came with all his slaves and they cooked it up right away. If so, you can go ahead and use this small ambati immediately, because we can just make this suggestion that perhaps it was done by this fellow through his servants right away on Matzah Shabbos. Therefore, there's no need for the Yisrael to wait, because misafik, when we have a situation of uncertainty, we allow. So even though it's perhaps a far-fetched suggestion here, nevertheless, it's still considered a suffix, and since there's an element of uncertainty here, we say it's mutter, and we presume that the water was not heated for the Yid, rather it was done by the servants for this important guy. So we have a Raya Tishmo, who holds that we have a situation of uncertainty. If it's a suffix, or whether or not the guy cooked it up for the Yid, it's allowed. So we have a Raya from our Mishnah, and a Raya from this price. Continues the Gemara, Asaloi Orain v'chafaloi kever. So the Mishnah concluded that if they fashion the Orain, a coffin, or a kever, the Yisrael may use it. Says the Gemara, Amai, why? So it seems that the Gemara is asking, according to Rav, when we have an uncertainty, we cannot proceed. So why can he use the Orain and the kever? Hachinami yamte b'leishiyasu. So here as well, Hachinami, why don't we require him to wait that period of time which allows building the Orain, digging the kever? Perhaps the intent of the guy was for the sake of the Yisrael, and this way the Yisrael can't use this Matzah Shabbos until he waits that prescribed time. Amar Ula, it's not a suffix at all. But Omed Basratya, speaking about that this kever was situated in this public area. Asratya generally means like a highway, which is not really an appropriate place for a Yid to bury his mace. So apparently, this was made for a guy. There's no question as to the intent of the gravedigger. Says Martenach kever, that explains the kever. What about the coffin which was crafted? Perhaps he had the Yisrael in mind. Amar Bavo b'mutal al kivroi was speaking that the Orain was situated next to that kever which was out in the open, in which case it's pretty obvious that just as the kever was for the guy, the Orain was also fashioned for the guy. So in summary, we learned that something which a person is not meant to discuss on Shabbos, for instance, some malacha, business activities, ein zakah b'merasei. Also, he cannot prepare for that. Ein zakah b'chashichosei. He can't camp out at the edge of the tchum in preparation of this activity. What are two examples? Liskar po'alim, to hire workers. Lavi peiros, to go pick some fruit. What about something which we can discuss on Shabbos? Something which is zakah b'merasei. Likewise, he can go ahead and camp out in anticipation of that activity. What are examples of that? The Hanakama gave us an example of going to watch his fruit. Abba Shaul came to add, even doing in preparation of malachis. But since they are in preparation of mitzvah malachis, the efforts for the needs of the kala or the mace, then one can speak about it and camp out in anticipation of that activity. We discussed a malacha which a guy specifically did for a yid. The yid cannot partake, can I have enough from that malacha? What if there's a suffix? Rav says it's asur, and Shmuel says it's mutter. Continues the Mishnah. Oisin kol tzorchei hameis. One may perform all the needs for the mace on Shabbos, although the mace himself is muktzah, but one can go ahead and provide for his needs. For example, sachin or madichin oisoi. Sachin means they would anoint, they would smear some oil or madichin and rinse him. Provided that he doesn't move any limb of the mace which is muktzah. They can go and pull out the pillow from underneath him, so that he goes and he lands on the sand, so that he cools off, and this will avoid spoilage. So if they see the mouth opening, they can tie the jawbone to keep the mouth intact. Not if the purpose is to have the lechi, the jawbone, rise up and close the mouth, because the mace is muktzah. Only if the point is simply that it shouldn't open any further, just to keep it in place. Likewise, a beam which broke on Shabbos or Yom Tov, they can support it using a bench or using the supports of the part of the bed frame. Again, the point is not to reinstate the beam. Rashi says that would be considered baina. But strictly that it doesn't deteriorate, doesn't fall down any further. Continues the Gemara. We said we can go ahead and rinse the mace, smear it with oil, despite the fact that he's muktzah. V'amar Rav Shmuel. Masa, there was a story by Talmidei shel Rav Meir. Shenichnas achrav lebeis hamerchatz. So the student of Rav Meir followed him to the Beis HaMerchatz. Bikesh ladiach karka. So the Talmud wanted to rinse the floor, presumably to keep down the dust. We cannot rinse. Losach karka. He wanted to smear some of the perhaps fragrant oil on the floor. Rav Meir responded, Ein sachin. We cannot smear. Like Gemara here is assuming that was the reason why he didn't allow him to do this, because the floor is muktzah. So since you can't actually touch it, you can't move it, likewise you can't treat it, you can't smear it, you can't wash it. Same thing regarding a mace. Since the mace is muktzah, the Gemara is assuming, just as you can't move him around, you can't provide for him, you can't smear him, you can't rinse him. So how does the Mishnah allow it? Says the Gemara, no. It's a totally different context there. The reason why Rameh didn't allow him to rinse or smear oil on that floor was for a different concern altogether. Ashvuye gomais, when there's many times, there's a concern about perhaps a person being tempted to smooth out the imperfections, the pits on his floor, which involves a malacha of baina. So you can't rinse, you can't smear that floor. Now, despite the fact that we're speaking about it, Beis HaMerchatz, which had a stone floor, in which case there's no concern of smoothing it out. Nevertheless, the Gemara says he didn't allow him. Karka ber karka michlafa. One type of floor with another type of floor, a stone floor with an earthen floor, michlafa. They can get confused with each other. If you allow them this, perhaps they'll do it even when it comes to a sand floor and smooth out those pits. Therefore, a mayor issued this broad decree. He says you can't treat any type of floor. As opposed to our Mishnah, mace bekarka michlaf. One doesn't mix up, confuse a mace with karka, and therefore there's no concern with rinsing this mace. Continues the Gemara. Kol lasuyamai. Mishnah began by saying, Oisin kol tzorchei hames. All the different needs of the mace may be provided for. Now, what was lacking in the list of the Mishnah? That the word kol was meant to include. Kol lasuyamai. Lasuy to include halatan rabbanon, mevin clay mekar. They can bring these cooling utensils, Rashi says. For instance, glass, clay matres, metal utensils, to cool them off. Umanichan al kreisoi, and they place it on his stomach, kadei shaloi, to fuach, that it won't bloat. Upaiki kenes nekavav, and they close up his openings, kadei shaloi tikanis ben haruach, so that the wind doesn't get through there and cause his stomach to bloat. V'af shloimai omar b'chachmasai. And likewise, Shlomo Melech expressed in his immense wisdom So he tells us to take advantage of our abilities, our resources, and make the most out of them until before the time will come. He says, do it before it's too late. We won't have that ability any longer. Until the Chevel HaKesef is Zechut HaShedra. So it's a silver rope. Until before the Chevel HaKesef will be Yiratek, will get snapped. So go ahead and use your resources before this happens. Before the Chevel HaKesef snaps, Zechut HaShedra, this is the spinal cord, V'toretz Gulas Hazav, and the Gulas Hazav here is referring to the male organ, will burst. Ze'ama. Why is it called Gulas Hazav? So Rashi says Gulas is the Aver of the Zachar, Shu Mayan Shel Toilada, because it's like a spring, which is a source of production. So he's describing the deterioration of a person's body and death. V'tishaver kad al mabua, and the kad will break on the mabua. What is that? Zeh hakeres. So the kad here is referring to the person's stomach, which will break apart on the kad al mabua is describing the stomach. V'noritz hagalgal el abur, and the galgal will break apart el abur. What is this referring to? Is that perish, a person's waist, that the stomach, which contains the galgal, the waist of the person, so the waist will be cast upon the bur. Rashi says the bur is the person's mouth. V'chein oimer v'ziresi feresh al pneichem peresh chagechem. So what does this mean? So Maharsha points out that the pasuk here makes reference to the word perish twice. So the point here is that perish means to separate. The person disregards spiritual matters, Torah study, and as a result he increases the waste in his body, gets involved in indulging in food and drink. Amar of Huna, v'amrila, some say Amar of Chaga. This is describing a certain type of person. Elu b'nei adam shemanichan de Torah, they forsake, abandon learning Torah and involving themselves in spirituality and experiencing the true spiritual ecstasy and pleasure, and instead they substitute with a cheap substitute. And they conduct all their days in celebration as though they're holidays. So that's what the pasuk is describing, that the waste of all that food and drink will be cast upon a person's mouth at the time of death. 3 days after death, a person's stomach breaks open, and falls on his face, as though to tell him, take what you have given to me. Continues the Mishnah, one may not close the eyes of a mace on Shabbos, as we discussed earlier, because the mace is muktzah. Likewise, even during weekdays, one cannot do that in yetzias nefesh, when the person is actually passing away, because a person at that point is in a precarious state, and even a small movement can cause him to die prematurely, expedite his death, as the Mishnah concludes, if one who does that during Yetzias HaNefesh, HaRezah Shefech Damim, as though he's spilling blood, Tanar Rabbanim learned in a brayso. Hamatzmayim Yetzias HaNefesh. A person closes the eyes of the mace while he's about to die, as a Shefech Damim, he is spilling blood. Why? Mashal Lener. It is analogous to a flame, Shekavav Alechet, which is about to get extinguished. In this case, it's in a very precarious state. As soon as a person puts his finger on it, miyad cuffs immediately gets extinguished. Likewise, a person at that point is tittering, and you're not meant to interfere whatsoever. Tanya, what is a good method to get the eyes of a mace closed? Apparently he's not speaking about on Shabbos. How is he meant to do it? Blow some wine into his nostrils, and places some oil between his eyelashes, and he holds on, grabs onto the two large toes, and this causes that his eyes will just shut on their own. Tanya, something fascinating. If we have a one-day-old baby, so if he's in sakana, we can be machal, override Shabbos to save him. even though he's just 1 day old. David Melech Yisrael Meis, in contrast to David HaMelech, who had passed away, Ein Mechal Novas HaShabbos, we cannot override Shabbos in order to provide for his needs. Explains the Gemara, Tinok ben Yoimai Chai Mechal Novas HaShabbos, a 1 day old child justifies Chilul Shabbos. Why? Amra Torah announced, Chalel Olav Shabbos Echad. Go desecrate 1 Shabbos on his behalf. Why? It's an investment. Kedei Sheyishma Shabbos Harbe, to enable him to go follow through with observing many Shabbos as a result of you being mechal that 1 Shabbos. So it's a good investment. It's as though Shabbos is really benefiting itself. We look at all Shabbos as one entity. So you can mechal now to preserve later. In contrast to David HaMelech, David Melech Yisrael Meis, Ein Mechal Novas HaShabbos. Why? Kivin Shemeis, once a person passes away, Kivin Shemeis Adam, Batal on mitzvahs. He's become Batal. He ceased to observe mitzvahs, and this formula of giving up 1 Shabbos to preserve the others won't apply. V'hainu Dam Rav Yochanan v'Meisim Chavshi. Kivin Shemeis Adam, we learn from this pasuk, Meisim Chavshi, once a person dies, Nasa Chavshi min mitzvahs, he's become free of all mitzvahs and all obligations. V'tanya, another contrast between a baby and a giant. Tinoik ben yoimechai, a 1 day old infant, there's no need to guard him, to protect him from being attacked from a chulda, a rat, from mice, because there's a natural fear that a living person casts on all these living creatures, notwithstanding his small size and young age. And in contrast to Oig, this giant, the Melech HaBashan Mace, once he's dead, one needs to safeguard him from being attacked by the Chulda and the Achbarim. Shenemar. Hashem promises that your fear will be cast upon all the creatures. We learn from here. The Torah repeats it. The Mashal points out. The Torah repeats it, which have both a very similar meaning. The fear. So what's the point of that double lashon? Coming to teach us. This only applies during one's lifetime. So v'chitchem here is used in a context of living. Calls ma'ashadam chai. While a person is alive, a masim mutelas abrius. His ema, the fear, is cast from him on all the brios. The animals have fear. Kivin shemeis, but once he dies, batla emasai. His ema ceases to be effective, becomes nullified. Omar Papa, Naktina, we have a tradition. Aryeh, a lion, abetrei loinafel, won't attack, won't kill 2 people. So Rashi says won't fall, meaning to kill them, lahargam. Says the Gemara. And why? Explains Rashi, because the pasuk that we just mentioned, Morachem v'chitchem, your fear will be cast upon the creatures, uses a plural term, Morachem. Therefore, we have this conclusion that the lion cannot attack and kill 2 people together. Says the Gemara, Hokachazina denafel. We find that even a lion will attack even when 2 people are standing together. Says the Gemara, Ahu k'deram bar Abba. Apparently, there's a reason for that. As Rami bar Abba said, when a person does an avera, he casts from himself this power, this ability to go ahead and affect fear in animals. The Amar Rami bar Abba, Ein chaya sheletes ba'adam. A wild animal, doesn't have the ability to rule over a person, unless this person appears to the animal like a behemoth. So he does averis, and now he removes that tselem elikim, that neshama power within him. He covers it up with his animal tendencies. So he comes across, he portrays himself with an animal profile, like a behemoth. In which case, the chayas no longer have fear for him. Shenemar Adam b'ikar bal yolen nimshal. When is he controlled and ruled upon by the animals? Kabehemus nidmu. If they are nidmu, if they portray an animalistic profile. So again, Rav Papa tells us that if 2 people are standing together, they have nothing to fear from the lion, except, as Gemara concluded, one does avera, in which case he changes his profile. One may not sleep in a room by himself, if he does that, achzase lilis. Lilis is a certain type of shade, the demon can get a hold of him. A person should take care and do tzedakah, give charity, as long as you can find somebody to give, as long as you find a poor person, go ahead and seize the opportunity to give tzedakah. As long as there's some money found in your possession, you have the ability to give. It's still within you, it's still in your rishus, in your possession, meaning, as long as you're still alive, go ahead and seize that opportunity. Likewise, Shlomo Melech expressed in his words of wisdom in Koheles, remember your Creator in the days of your youth. Remember, prior to the arrival of those bad days. What are those? The days of old age. So go ahead, seize your youthful energy and produce Torah mitzvahs. Don't wait until those days of zikna will come along. V'yigiu shanim, and years will come. Asher toimar ein li b'hem chayfetz. You will describe them as years, as times in which there's no desire. What does that mean? Eloi mei Mashiach. It's referring to the days of Mashiach. She'ein b'hem lo yischus lo yichayva. There's no opportunity to do tzedakah. There's no schus, meaning you can't give tzedakah, nor chayva. There won't be the opportunity to withhold tzedakah. Why? Because there won't be any more poor people. So go ahead and make sure to give your tzedakah nowadays, when there are still aniyim prevalent. Says the more pliga d'shmo. Now this assertion that in the Yemei HaMashiach there will not be any poor people around, this actually disagrees with Shmuel, who says there won't be that major of a change between nowadays and Yemei HaMashiach. Damar Shmuel ein bein ha'olam hazeh l'Yemei HaMashiach. The only difference between nowadays and the days of Mashiach will be elo shibud malchus bilvad. Only the fact that we're not going to be subservient to the rule of the goyim. We'll be free and in our own, we'll control our lives. We're able to pursue our interests, our ruchnis interests. We won't have the goyim harassing us. That's going to be the only difference. But poor people will still exist. Evyon is describing a poor person. Will not cease to exist. Mikarav arts. So he holds that the laws of nature pretty much be the same, and the only difference will be more of a spiritual enhancement, that we won't be meshubah to the goyim, but otherwise the aniyim will still be there, and therefore tzedakah will still be applicable then. Tanya Rav Lezer Kappa Omer, L'olam yevakesh adam rachmim al midazu. Person should always seek to daven to Hashem for rachmanis, to spare him from this midah. What are we speaking about? Aniyas, poverty. She'im hu loiba, because if he doesn't arrive at the state of aniyas and become poor, his son will arrive at that point. Vim b'noi loiba, if his son won't be poor, ben b'noi ba, then his grandson will. It's inevitable. Somebody along the line will have to experience poverty. Therefore, it's so important to daven to Hashem, to spare oneself from poverty, and he can daven for his children and grandchildren as well. Tefillah can do anything. Where do we see that aniyas, poverty, is something which is prevalent and unavoidable? Shenemar ki beglal hadavar hazeh tanad ve'rishmol. Why does the Torah refer to poverty with the term beglal galgalu? So beglal here is used as galgal. It's a wheel. Galgalu shechoyzer ba'olam. It's a wheel which makes its rounds throughout the world. Everybody experiences it somewhere along the line. Amar Rav Yosef, in Aktinon we have a tradition, Haitzum Rabbanon, that a Talmud Chacham loy mi'ani will not experience poverty. Says, well, what do you mean? We see very clearly that Talmud Chacham are poor. Says, if that is so, that he will be poor, nevertheless he'll be spared. Ahaduria pischa loy mahader. He won't need to resort to making the rounds around the houses to collect. He'll be spared that burden, that shame. As Mashal points out, others will support him. Amar Rab Chia instructed his wife, Ki asa Anya, When a poor person arrives, agdimi leirifta, quickly offer him some bread, so that others will do the same to your sons when they are in need. Or Marley, so she responded, Meled kalaitis lo, you're cursing our children? Why are you saying this? Amarla krokaksiv. There's a pasuk that says it's unavoidable, it's inevitable. It's like a wheel that rolls around the world. Inevitably, it's going to end up somewhere in our descendants, and therefore we should be extra careful and meticulous with tzedakah, so that our children should receive the same treatment. Tanya, so Hashem will give you the opportunity to do Rachmanas, and Hashem will also have Rachmanas on you and increase you. We learn from here that if a person is merachim, exudes mercy on others, merachim al mashamayim, from heaven they have Rachmanas on him. If a person does not have Rachmanas on others, merachim al mashamayim, likewise from heaven they do not have Rachmanas on him. So that's the pasuk. So Hashem will give you the opportunity to have Rachmanas on others, and indeed, if you follow through, Hashem will treat you in kind with Rachmanas. Getting back to Shlomo HaMelech, who encourages us to utilize every moment of our lives to do proper activities, Torah mitzvahs. Don't wait until a person's body deteriorates, until our capacity decreases, until a person dies and loses the opportunity. So the pasuk continues, do it before the sun and the light darkens. And the pasuk continues, Vayareach, and the moon, Kachavim, and the stars, V'shavu av machageshem, and the clouds will follow the rain. So the Gemara analyzes this pasuk. It's referring to a person's body deteriorating. Zu padachas v'achaitem. Padach is a person's forehead, which exudes brightness and light. V'achaitem, person's nose, which is the main feature in a person's profile. So these things, they start creasing and they lose their shine and their sheen. So that's the pshat, that the light of the sun, Hashemesh v'oir, will darken. Vayoreach, what is this referring to? The moon, zu neshama, person's neshama, which is equated with light. Rashi says, Ner lekim nishmas adam. It's equated to a candle. So prior to the neshama leaving the body, make sure to make the most of it. Like a chavim, the stars, it's referring to elu halisatais, a person's cheekbones. V'shavu avim achar geshem, that the clouds will follow will get scattered after the rainstorm. Zumarish enav shel adam. It's referring to the eyesight of a person, shahoilach achar bechi, which deteriorates due to crying during old age as a result of difficulties that a person experiences. So a person should take advantage of his youthful exuberance and his energy and his functioning body, whatever capacity is in, take full advantage of it prior to the body beginning to deteriorate and a person will begin losing his ability. Amar Shmuel, Hai Dimasa. This tear, Adar Boim Shnin Hadra. The tears of a person, until 40 years, the body has the ability to replenish his tears. But after 40, it doesn't anymore replenish it. So this salve, this type of paste, which they used to insert into a person's eye to enhance his functioning of his eye, his eyesight. So until 40 years is effective. It enhances, it benefits a person's eyesight. When it's applied after age 40, even if you use this tool, Rashi says it's kovetz shel gardim, this type of tool used by weavers. Even if you fill this dabbit with this big dabber, and you put the salve into your eye using this thing, ukmi maikim, the most it will do is it will maintain the condition of the eye, but arvuchi le'marmach doesn't have the ability to enhance it any further. It says in Ramaika Mashmon, why did Rav Nachman choose to use this example of this large dabber? He was teaching us actually a lesson. The kamada olam mikuchla, the bigger, the wider, the thicker the dabber is when applying this salve, Tfei Ma'ali, the better it is. That's why he used this example. And you're saying after 40, despite the fact that he's using this huge dabber, it won't be so effective. Continues the Gemara with the story of Chanina, Shchivili Barti. So his daughter passed away. He wasn't crying. Amar Leitvisu. So his wife responded in astonishment. Tarnagota afikas me besach. You've gotten rid of a chicken from your home? Why aren't you taking it emotionally? Amar La, so he responded to her, sure, I'm sad, but crying, that's going to hurt my health. Amar Latarti, do you want me to undergo 2 misfortunes? Tichla means losing this child. Ve'ivra, and also to blind myself through crying. Savarla, Rav Chanina concurred with the saying of Rav Yechon. Kihada, Rav Yechon, as Rav Yechon told us, Mishum Rav Yisrael ben Tzad. Sheish Dimasein. There are 6 different types of tears that can be produced by a person. Shalosh Yafais, Shalosh Rois. The 2 categories. 3 of the 6 are actually beneficial, and 3 are detrimental. Shal Ashan, tears which are expressed when a person is faced with smoke. Shal Bechi, expressed through crying, when a person undergoes a painful situation, a tragedy. Shal Beisakise, or what a person produces when he has a difficult time relieving oneself in the bathroom. These are rois. These are detrimental to a person's health. Shal Sam, tears which are produced through taking medicine. Shal Schaik, through laughter. V'shal Pears, which are produced as a result of produce. Rashi says, for instance, through the reyach of chardal, the scent of mustard, or perhaps also onion smell. Some people will tear when they smell onions. So these are in the good category of tears. Yafais, these are actually beneficial to the person. So that's what Rav Chanina was saying. I lost my child. Why should I go now and cry in addition to that and harm my health? Therefore, he controlled himself and refrained from expressing himself in tears. Okay, time for a brief review of today's daf. We began with our discussion of the formula which equates discussion on Shabbos with preparation on Shabbos. And we learned that as follows. A topic which a person is not meant to discuss on Shabbos, for instance, malacha, for instance, business activities, ein zakai b'merasai. Likewise, ein zakai b'chashichasai. A person can't prepare for it. Can't go camping out at the edge of the tchum in anticipation of Motzei Shabbos, where he will pursue that malacha activity. 2 examples of these activities are to hire workers or to go pick some fruit. However, something which a person may discuss, zaka b'merasai, a person can go ahead and prepare for it. For instance, if he's anticipating lishmei peirosav, to go safeguard his fruit, which is not a malach activity. Abba Shaul added, when it concerns a mitzvah, for instance, endeavoring for the kala or the mace, despite the fact that it involves a malacha, since it is chefse shamayim, spiritual matters, a person can discuss it and prepare for it. We learned that a malacha, which a nachri did for the sake of Yisrael, the Yisrael cannot benefit from that hana. If there's an uncertainty, according to Rav it's asar, according to Shmuel it's mutter. We proceeded with the Mishnah, which told us that a person can provide all the needs of a mace on Shabbos, provided it doesn't actually move the mace, who's muktzah. We learned a person cannot close the eyes of a mace when he's at the final moments of his life, because that it can expedite his death. We learned a contrast between a 1-day-old infant, where Chilul Shabbos is justified in order to safeguard his life, as opposed to David HaMelech, when he's already mace, which does not justify Chilul Shabbos. We learned that a Tinik Ben Yoimai doesn't require any shmira from the mice and the rats, as opposed to a mace. Notwithstanding his large size, shmira is required, because only in a person's lifetime does he cast that fear, which is cast upon the animals. Gemara told us that an animal won't attack a person unless the person appears to him like a behemoth, due to his averos. We learned that a person should always seek rachmanos from Hashem, to spare him and his descendants from poverty, because that's something which is a revolving wheel, galgul shechayzer ba'olam. And Shlomo HaMelech told us, instructed us, to take heed and full advantage of our capacity during our lifetime. Don't wait until things deteriorate and the person passes away when he no longer has the opportunity to pursue Torah mitzvahs. Rather, take full opportunity and full advantage of our current lifetime.